Alright, let's take a look at Road 69.
Nice.
Wait, hold on. Oh yeah, Road 96. So, Road 96 is a game about basically escaping your home country that is undergoing a political revolution. As a teenager, you just say, I'm out, I'm not dealing with this anymore. So you embark on a big, long road trip to escape it. Now, this game does have two different colored endings. I have experienced one of them. The two endings are hardly different, and its impacts on the characters are actually what changes your ending. So the things you interact with the characters really change how they turn out, and that's really the thing. So I haven't experienced the other colored ending yet, but there's really no point. It's worth noting that Road 96 is a fully released game. This game is considered to be a finished product. They are releasing some updates too so far, as of the time of this review, that are just bug fixes. So this is the final finished product. Let's talk about the devs a little bit. It's made by Digix Art, a French studio. Some previous projects that they have worked on is a game called 1111 Memories Retold, which was a game developed by Aardman Animations and Digix Art, published by Bandai Namco. It is a story-based game centered around a young photographer that goes to join the Western Front in Europe in World War I. It was received pretty well. Very positive reviews on Steam, seems to have been sold fairly well. The second thing they worked on was a mobile game, or at least originated as a mobile game, called Lost in Harmony. Lost in Harmony is a rhythm beat game in which, I've never played it, but from the outside it appears that you're a young man on a skateboard with a young woman on your back, and you're just sort of dodging the beats of the song as different environments try to hurt you. There seems to be some sort of story with it, but again, I'm not too certain about it. Looks to have been pretty positively received on Steam. I think they had decent showing on mobile and a little bit on Steam as well. Road 96 is their first solo development project. As I may have said before, Digix Art is a French studio, and it is run by, according to the developers, about 15 people. Something that should also be noted about this game is that the devs have claimed that it has procedural generation. However, it's more like you move into the specific, actually pre-made randomized scenes. So you get a different scene every time. You never know what scene you're going to get, but these are built. So it's not necessarily procedural generated. I think they probably said this just to simplify explanations of how the game works. Now, Road 96 is not a particularly long game. It comes in at around 6 hours of playtime to experience most of the content. This seems to be pretty consistent, especially as you look at some of the Steam reviews of the game. Most of them have somewhere between 5 and 9 hours of playtime, but the average, if I had to guess, was about 6. And that was about how long I played the game as well. They do have a prologue ebook with the game listed as DLC. It has one review that I can see, and it just says nice. So take that as you will. I don't plan on purchasing or reading this ebook. Alright, let's talk about the gameplay. Road 96 plays like a visual novel / point-and-click adventure game / roguelite. And if you don't know, roguelite is any genre of video games that kind of takes elements from roguelikes. Roguelikes, generally, you go in, you do a run, you die, you start over, and each time you get more skill. Roguelites are different in that usually there's some sort of, there's less strategy that goes into your skill and more consistency and progression that keeps between different runs. A typical quote-unquote run in Road 96 starts with you selecting your team that you're going to be using for this run, and they come with different things like different energy levels. Sometimes they might start in a stolen car as opposed to walking on the road or maybe hitchhiking. They can start with more or less money or more or less energy, and that's pretty much it. That's how you start. You start in a scene, you act out the scene, and you move from scene to scene, making different decisions and interacting with different characters until you reach the end of the road, which is the border. Once you get to the border, it's all about trying to get through. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Runs in Road 96 typically end in 3 ways. You escape the country, you're arrested along the way or on the border and sent to the pits, or you die in one way or another. The next part I'm going to do is a brief explanation of one of my runs so you can get a better idea of it. There are going to be minor spoilers for this and more minor spoilers throughout the entirety of the review. I'll put a timestamp on the video so that you can skip to the end of the review for a brief summation of my thoughts and what I actually am going to rate it, if you don't want to experience those spoilers. Or if you want to come back after you play the game and then see what my thoughts were. So my first run was a lackluster run. I started and immediately got my shit pushed in the first scenario, and then I immediately ran out of energy and got arrested, so that wasn't very fun. So my second run was much more exciting and adventurous, and I'm just going to use some kind of broad terms to describe the kind of wacky stuff I got into. My first stop was I was walking down a road and I found a trailer park. I blew on a trombone of a new friend that I met. Next, I almost got shot by a cop. The thing after that was I met a TV star that was being stalked, and I saw her stalker briefly. I immediately met her stalker in the next scenario, who I confirmed as a murderer, and then I made it to the border wall, and I got caught at the border wall and arrested. That's just the brief, typical run in Road 96. Alright, so let's get to the good of it. This game does nail the atmosphere, including the music. The music is very good. It's kind of mostly techno, a little bit of rock, not a whole lot of variety in the music, but all the music they do put out is good. The tense nature of all the encounters also adds to the atmosphere quite a bit. I never know if I'm about to get arrested or killed, especially if it's happened once or twice already in my playthrough. It's always a possibility. I never know what's going to happen. The script itself is very good. I think it's very well done. There are some issues where minor words are thrown around in a way that I would imagine is more common in like French, but sounds sort of weird coming from English voice actors. Like, I know Zoe says a couple things, like she'll add like, "Oh, that's really weird, no?"
I don't know, but it's got to be better than this, no?
At the end of the sentence, and just the way she reads it, it just sounds weird. But for the most part, that script is solid, I think. I think it does a very good job. All in all, the story had a few surprises and twists that I really wasn't expecting. And while I wasn't particularly surprised with the ending, some minor things were unexpected and kept me on my toes. So that was really nice. The minigames are great. They add a bit of spice to the game, though they aren't ever the same. And that makes it tough to beat in the first try, so it's kind of like I always get a little frustrated. I'm like, come on, man. Oh, I scored on myself, dude, bro, come on!
Come on, drinks all round. I'm paying.
I found them to be very fun and interesting, though. Although there is one that in particular falls flat, looking at you, Connect 4 in the car. Are you stupid? What?
You beat me.
I won it almost immediately with no challenge at all because I happened to go first. It was very strange. Another great thing was the art style. I really liked the art style. It was very simplistic, but it was the perfect apparatus to tell the story and just be a little bit wacky. I thought it was very fun and well done. The world, especially the last stretch of road of the road trip, would change over time. So you'd see like little impacts that you had or just the world had for differing stuff, offering new surprises and events that would happen. I loved pretty much every single character, even the ones that, you know, hurt me.
You lost, kid.
They got me arrested.
Oh, what?
I'll book him. Besides, saves you room to pick up another kid.
Fine, I guess.
Shut up, kid.
Sometimes they would berate me.
Good choice, kid. Grab the camera, Tim. We're getting out of here.
What did you do?
And, you know, sometimes they would murder me.
Sorry, but you're not gonna like what comes next.
Dude, am I getting murdered? Oh, he shoots me. No way. I still loved every single one of them. I loved being around every single one of them. Although sometimes, you know, I would meet one and I'd say, "Ah, come on, this guy again." But then they would hook me right back in and endear me to them. They're written very well, and they do have a lot to offer to the story. Let's move on to some of the bad parts. The voice acting, there's a lot to love about the voice acting, but there were some voice actors that just didn't sound as good or didn't deliver their lines convincingly at times. In particular, I think, you know, Zoe
We should probably get some rest then. Getting past security isn't gonna be easy.
One of the main characters has a little bit of an issue delivering things convincingly. This isn't a big issue for me, especially since it's an indie title, and they likely didn't have the budget for like the higher quality voice actors, but it may be a bigger issue for other people. But at other times, they sure did a hell of a job. There were some times where I was like, they would like a character would get excited, and I would also get excited. You know? Another bad thing would be the ending. There's 2 different main endings that you can choose at the end of the game, and neither of them really have a big impact. The real impact comes with determining how core characters interact with each other in the story, and your actions totally shape things like if characters reform from bad habits, or if they make up and set aside their differences, or if they decide to murder each other. But that doesn't really change the fate of the country of Petria. The same basic things happen in the end either way. You kind of make a black and white choice for a nameless, unimportant individual that you're controlling that isn't referenced again at any point. It's kind of a shame, but in my opinion, it does come with the territory a bit of being a roguelite that's grounded in reality, where you can't just, you know, die or get arrested and then just show back up in the beginning, you know. It's a bit odd to play the character who isn't the hero or the center of the story or this catalyst in the battle between good or evil, or, you know, in Petria's case, red, blue, and gray. But it is interesting to get into, and once you get over that, it does become pretty enjoyable. The politics. This game definitely has a political slant. That doesn't mean it hits you over the head with it all the time, but just like an educational game, occasionally you're playing and you hear something strange that just kind of takes you out of the experience.
Wait, you're saying the police are justified in using violence?
I'm glad you're here. Now I'm not the only one subjected to this.
For example, in this one, it could be like a topical reference or a political slogan. In my opinion, they do pretty much a fair job of ironing out the faults of the differing sides, but they totally, absolutely have a political slant, and it absolutely comes out in some moments of the game. This may be an issue for some, especially those leaning right on the political spectrum. I do lean that way, and it wasn't an issue for me, but I know this totally could be a problem for some other people. In conclusion, Road 96 is a beautiful, fun, funny game full of mostly interesting characters and, you know, some I could do without. And it has a well-made and cared-for story and a great road trip experience. All in all, I'd say it has a rating of 3 dead bodies.